Imagine you're walking through an art gallery filled with portraits of people who seem familiar but slightly off. Each portrait is carefully crafted to present an image of perfection, a smile, a pose, a persona. But there's something you can't quite place. They don't look real. The brushstrokes are flawless, the colors too precise. Everyone in the gallery is hiding behind their image, wearing a mask so perfect it's hard to tell where the art ends and the person begins. Now, picture yourself in the center of the room, standing before your own blank canvas. You've never painted a single stroke, never hidden who you are. And yet, as the eyes of the crowd turn to you, you wonder, will they appreciate your rawness, or will they condemn your empty canvas for its honesty? This is the fate of Prince Myshkin, the protagonist of Dostoyevsky's The Idiot. He is a man of pure heart, unwavering honesty, and boundless compassion. Yet rather than being admired, he is ridiculed, manipulated, and ultimately broken by a society that cannot understand his goodness. This is not just a story from 19th century Russia. It reflects a painful truth about human nature that remains relevant today. Why do good people often find themselves at a disadvantage? Why does sincerity invite mockery rather than respect? And most importantly, if being good leads to suffering, is it still worth it? By the end of this discussion, you'll have a new perspective on kindness, morality, and the hidden dangers of being too good in a world that rewards cunning. To understand why goodness is often mistaken for foolishness, we must first look at what society values. We like to think we admire honesty and integrity, but do we? Or do we tolerate these qualities when they don't interfere with our own interests? Throughout history, those who rise to power are rarely purely good. They are those who understand when to be ruthless, when to charm, and when to deceive. Machiavelli argued that a ruler must be willing to act immorally if necessary because the world rewards results, not goodness. This is why Myshkin's fate is tragic. He refuses to manipulate or deceive, and because of this, he is seen as an idiot, not because of intelligence, but because his goodness makes him vulnerable in a world built on self-interest. Think about how this applies to the real world. How often do truly kind, honest people get taken advantage of? How many times have we felt foolish for believing in the best in others, only to be betrayed? But Dostoyevsky doesn't present Myshkin as a simple martyr. He doesn't just suffer, he challenges those around him in ways they don't fully understand. His goodness isn't passive, it acts as a mirror, forcing others to confront their flaws. His existence exposes their hypocrisy, his kindness highlights their selfishness. And so rather than being embraced, he is rejected. But here's the ultimate question. Is it Myshkin who is the fool, or is it the world that has lost its way? As we continue, we'll explore this paradox. What does it mean to be good in a world that doesn't value goodness? And in the end, we'll uncover a truth about kindness that might change the way you see everything. What makes Myshkin's story tragic isn't just his suffering, but how he is perceived. He doesn't see himself as a fool. He believes in love, honesty, and the goodness of human nature. Yet, the more he tries to bring light to others' lives, the more they see him as an outsider, someone who doesn't belong in their world. Why does true goodness create discomfort? To answer this, we must examine human relationships. People interact based on a balance of power. Even kindness is often given with expectations of reciprocity. But Myshkin doesn't play this game. He gives without expecting anything in return. He speaks with complete honesty, forgives without holding resentment, even when betrayed. In a world where everyone wears a mask, he is completely unguarded. And this is why people do not trust him. Psychologists have long studied cognitive dissonance, the discomfort when confronted with information or behavior that contradicts our beliefs about ourselves. When Myshkin interacts with others, he forces them to face their own moral contradictions. They may claim to value kindness, but when faced with true goodness, they feel exposed. Instead of accepting this uncomfortable truth, they reject him. Consider how we often react to people who are exceptionally good. When we hear stories of selfless individuals who dedicate their lives to helping others, we admire them. But often, we feel a strange discomfort. We tell ourselves they are different from us, that their level of selflessness is unrealistic. We may even search for flaws in them, hoping to find proof they're not as pure as they seem. Why? Because accepting their goodness would force us to question our own choices and compromises. This is exactly what happens to Prince Myshkin, the protagonist of Dostoyevsky's The Idiot. He becomes a symbol of something unattainable, an ideal that people admire in theory but reject in practice. His presence disrupts the social order, not through force, but by existing. Dostoyevsky uses Myshkin to explore a deeper truth about human nature. We think we want perfect goodness, but when faced with it, we find it overwhelming, even suffocating. Goodness without calculation and flaws is something most people don't know how to handle. Instead of elevating the good person, society often isolates them. But does this mean goodness is meaningless? Is being a good person a mistake? Here is where things get complex. Despite all the suffering he endures, Myshkin does not regret his kindness. He does not become bitter or wish to change. Dostoyevsky offers us a profound insight. The value of goodness does not lie in how others perceive it, but in its inherent nature. True goodness doesn't need validation. It exists because it is the right way to be. But this raises a final question. If goodness is so pure, why does it lead to suffering? Why do the best people seem to face the greatest hardships? Myshkin does everything in his power to bring kindness and understanding into the world, yet he is ridiculed, misunderstood, and ultimately destroyed. But Dostoyevsky does not present this as a meaningless tragedy. He forces us to look deeper into suffering itself. There is an undeniable connection between goodness and suffering. Throughout history, many revered figures, Jesus, Socrates, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., dedicated their lives to ideals of justice, truth, and compassion, yet all faced immense suffering. Why does the world resist goodness instead of embracing it? One explanation is that true goodness is disruptive. It challenges the status quo and forces people to confront their moral contradictions. Most people do not want to face these contradictions. They want to live as they always have without examining their own selfishness and compromises. When Myshkin enters Russian high society, he does not fit into its structure. People around him operate within a system of hidden motives, power plays, and constant maneuvering for status. Myshkin does not participate in any of this, and because of that, he becomes an anomaly, something the system cannot explain or categorize. And what happens to anomalies? They are either absorbed into the system or cast out. Myshkin, unwilling to change, is rejected. This brings us to a crucial point. If suffering is the fate of good people, what is the purpose of being good? Is it worth it? Dostoyevsky's answer is complex. He doesn't offer an easy solution. He suggests that the value of goodness is not determined by the world's reaction to it. Goodness is not about outcomes. It is not about praise, love, or success. It simply exists for its own sake. This challenges everything we are conditioned to believe. We are taught to seek validation, measure our actions by results, and expect fairness in return for our efforts. But true goodness does not operate on these principles. It is not transactional. It does not ask, what will I get in return? It simply exists. And yet there is a paradox. If goodness exists for its own sake, does it have any real power? If it doesn't change the world, what is its purpose? This is the final question we must explore. While Myshkin suffers, he leaves an undeniable impact on those he meets. Even those who reject him cannot forget him. Even those who mock him are, in some way, changed by their encounters with him. This suggests that while goodness may not always triumph in a traditional sense, it has a power that is deeper, more subtle, and more lasting than we might initially realize. But what exactly is this power, and how does it shape the world in ways we don't immediately see? In the final part of our discussion, we will uncover the ultimate truth about goodness, one that will leave us with a revelation that may forever change the way we understand human nature. If goodness is not measured by rewards, then what is its true power? If the world rejects and even destroys those who are genuinely good, why does goodness persist? Why do people like Myshkin, who seem so out of place in a world driven by ambition and self-interest, continue to exist? The answer lies in something subtle yet powerful, the quiet ways in which true goodness transforms those who encounter it. Throughout The Idiot, Myshkin doesn't try to change others. He doesn't preach or impose his ideals, and yet he leaves an indelible mark on every life he touches. Even those who hurt him cannot remain unaffected by his presence. His sincerity, compassion, and unwavering belief in the goodness of others act like a mirror, reflecting back to people the deepest, most hidden parts of themselves. This is the secret power of true goodness. It reveals the truth without demanding or manipulating. It simply exists, and by doing so, it forces those around it to confront their own nature. Some embrace it, while others, unable to bear what they see, reject it. But no one remains unchanged. Think about times in your life when you've encountered true kindness. A kindness given freely, with no hidden motive. Even if it was small, didn't it stay with you? Didn't it challenge you, if only for a moment, to reconsider your own actions and beliefs? This is why goodness, often dismissed as weakness, is, in reality, one of the most powerful forces. It doesn't seek control, yet it influences. It doesn't fight, yet it changes. It doesn't demand, yet it inspires. However, this power comes with a cost. Dostoyevsky understood that in a world built on self-interest, those who embody pure goodness will suffer. They will be misunderstood, taken advantage of, and at times feel out of place. But he also understood something more profound. The suffering of the good is not meaningless. It's proof that they've remained true to themselves in a world trying to corrupt them. In the final pages of The Idiot, Myshkin's fate is sealed. He is broken by the cruelty and complexity of the world. But does this mean he was truly a fool, or was he the only one who truly saw reality? Dostoyevsky doesn't give a simple answer, because there is no simple answer. But he leaves us with a question. Is it better to be wise in the ways of the world, protecting ourselves and playing the game? Or is it better to remain true to our ideals, even at the cost of suffering? This is the choice we all face. And the answer isn't black and white. But perhaps the true measure of a life well lived isn't in how much we've gained, but in how much light we've brought into the world, no matter how unnoticed. So the final revelation is this. Goodness is not about being rewarded. It's not about winning or avoiding pain. True goodness exists not because the world values it, but because it is the right way to be. In the end, whether the world calls you a fool or a saint, whether you're remembered or forgotten, what matters most is that you remained who you truly are. Because in a world where deception and self-interest rule, choosing to be good despite everything is the most powerful choice of all.